Hi, and welcome to this video. In this video, I, BlueAirways,
And I, Aviation.
will tell you the story of the wonderful defunct airline Pacific Southwest Airlines, also known as PSA. Founded. PSA was founded in 1949 by the businessman Kenny Friedkin. This was though not Friedkin's first attempt at making an airline. That prize went to Friedkin Airlines. Friedkin Airlines flew between El Centro and San Diego, California. Friedkin had though learned from the failure of Friedkin Airlines, and now he was determined to try his luck in the airline business again. Friedkin marketed the airline as a discount or low-cost airline, believing that if prices were low, people would fly. A fare from San Diego to Oakland would cost just $15.60, which is the same as $200 in 2024. Now you might be thinking to yourself, $200 is not cheap, especially for a low-cost airline like PSA. But what you got to understand is that that was relatively cheap. In 1949, PSA started with a single DC-3 which was leased for $1,000 a month, which according to Google is $13,000 in 2024. The DC-3 began a weekly round trip from San Diego to Oakland via Burbank. The airline's reservations office was located in a latrine that had been used in World War II. The latrine had a size of 6 foot by 12 foot, which is the same as 2 meters by 4 meters. PSA decided in 1951 to move flights to San Francisco instead of Oakland. Airlines began to notice PSA and how successful they were with their cheap prices. This caused many airlines to lower their cost to compete with PSA. This did not really go as planned, as passengers who before were scared that the cheaper prices meant something like poorly maintained planes, now seeing the other established airlines cut cost, started believing PSA to be safe. The DC-3 would though not fly for too long, as it was replaced by two more modern and comfortable DC-4s purchased from Capital Airlines. PSA was also very smart with their DC-4s, painting squares around their windows to make them resemble the bigger and newer DC-6, which was a very smart move by PSA. These would though also not last very long, as in 1959 they started being replaced by the more quiet and faster Lockheed Model 188 Electra prop jets. The stewardesses also helped the airline's popularity, making jokes and being just friendly in general. Sadly, in 1962, Friedkin suddenly died of a stroke. The airline was then passed on to Floyd Andrews, a friend and business associate of Friedkin. By 1963, PSA carried more passengers between the Bay Area and Los Angeles than any other airline. Glory days and jet age.
Floyd Andrews moved the reservations office out of the latrine in San Diego and also made PSA a public company by selling shares. He also bought PSA's first jet, Boeing 727-100 in 1965. Later, he also bought the Boeing 727-200, DC-930, and 727-200. This helped PSA grow its popularity and strengthened its route network. This also replaced the Lockheed Electros. Around the same point in the early 70s, PSA introduced the now iconic orange and pink livery. This livery too will not get known from the colors, but rather it will get known from the iconic smile on the front of the aircraft. Without it, the livery will just seem bleak and lifeless. PSA also introduced the Lockheed 1011 three-star in the mid-70s, being the only interstate airlines in the US to operate wide-body jets. This also had lower deck seating, making it a double-decker. Southwest Airlines founder Harb Kelleher studied PSA extensively and used many of the airline's ideas to form the corporate culture of Southwest Airlines. Electors returned in 1975 for flights to Lake Tahoe that ended in 1979 because Lake Tahoe did not allow all jets until the 1980s. After the airline deregulation in the 1980s, PSA began to expand rapidly, opening routes to places such as Las Vegas and Phoenix.
Downfall. The airline deregulation was not just a good thing though. The airline deregulation caused competitors such as AirCal to be bought by American and Western to be bought by Delta. This might sound good on the surface. No more competitors, yay! But then again, think about it. What happens when a company buys another company? That's right. Now the other company is your competitor. PSA would now directly compete with the bigger airlines such as American and Delta. PSA feared that they might be the next target of American. Because of the fear of being purchased by American, an hour after the Aircall deal was announced, PSA agreed to merge with US Air, which was completed in 1987. This would mean that PSA would cease to exist. While this is not good, this would avoid them being purchased by American, and PSA would rather be part of US Air than being part of American. The PSA route network slowly disintegrated within US Air, which then became US Airways and was gone by 2004. After the 2005 merger of US Airways and America West, a US Airways Airbus A319 was repainted in PSA's livery as one of 4 heritage aircraft, commemorating the airlines that had merged to form US Airways. The most ironic part, though, PSA merged with US Air to avoid being purchased by American, and while this might have worked at the time, US Airways would end up merging into American in 2015, so in a way it ended up not even mattering. The A319 is still painted in the PSA livery, though with the American Airlines logo on the side. But what do you think? Was the merger worth it, or just a waste of borrowed time? Future of PSA and fleet.
Now, after PSA merged with User wanted to protect the trademarks of the airline, so therefore User decided to name another airline with PSA name, that being Jetstream International Airlines. Anyways, at the time of the merger, PSA had a fleet that consisted of 1 BA 146 100A aircraft, 23 BA 146 200A aircraft, 4 DC-932, 21 MD-81, and 10 MD-82.
Fun fact.
Here is a fun fact that might not be interesting to some people. PSA is yet a code of PS is now used by the Ukrainian national line called Ukraine International Airlines.